Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Tara and I make skincare products. Don't forget to go check out all my other videos on my channel. I have so much content specifically on how to formulate for beginners, and don't forget to subscribe. So today I'm going to be duping the Native body wash. This body wash has a gorgeous clear gel consistency, and as you can tell, mine looks basically exactly the same. I honestly can't even notice a difference. Even the lather is the same. I couldn't be happier. I think this came out perfect. So let's take a look at the ingredients. So if you go on native.com and you click on the ingredients, you'll notice that they have salt as the first ingredient. This is totally wrong. The ingredients are supposed to be listed in greatest amount first and then the smallest amounts at the end. Anything after 1% doesn't matter, but we're not going to get into all that. And there's no way that salt is the main ingredient. So I went on target.com. They have water as their first ingredient. This looks more right, but then they have salt as the third ingredient. So I think again, these are kind of not 100% in order, but let's just talk about them. So cocamidopropylbutane is an amphoteric surfactant. This adds lather, cleanses the skin. Sodium lauryl sarcosinate is an anionic surfactant. This again cleanses the skin and lathers. Sodium cocoyl isothianate is an anionic surfactant. Again, this cleanses the skin, adds lather, and pairing together surfactants like this creates the best lather for cleansing products. Then fragrance is the next ingredient, and the last three ingredients are preservatives or pH adjusters. So here's the formula I came up with, and there is a lot I want to talk about involving this product and this formula, but I'll leave all of that for the end of the video. But this is the exact formula I used, and I'll link down below to the exact ingredients I used from the exact suppliers, because if you replicate this formula, I recommend using the exact ingredients if you want it to turn out exactly like mine. Okay, I keep saying exactly. Anyways, let's get into it. We're making a 1,000 gram batch, and we're starting with phase A. I added in 605 grams of distilled water, and I did accidentally pour a bunch out, but I did fix this off camera. So set that beaker to the side and grab another container. I do actually recommend putting it in a large glass mixing bowl. Don't use a beaker, but anyways, I did 300 grams of cocamidopropylbutane. This is a liquid anionic surfactant. And I'm adding in 50 grams of sodium cocoyl isothianate, which is a powdered surfactant. Make sure you're wearing a respirator when working with this because the powder goes airborne and you don't want to breathe it in. This stuff also does not want to mix in with the cocamidopropylbutane, but I promise if you just keep mixing, it will eventually all combine and it'll look something like this. Now adding in 30 grams of sodium lauryl sarcosinate. This is powdered. I don't know if Native uses the powdered or the liquid. I think it would be easier to formulate with the liquid, which I'll link down below to that one if you want to use it, but you will have to use more of it. The powdered version is more concentrated, and surfactants have something called active surfactant matter, which will be different if you buy the liquid, which will affect the final formula. There's a lot I could say about it, so I recommend watching my Formulating for Beginners series, which does go into active surfactant matter. I'll have that specific video linked down below, along with the entire Formulating for Beginners series. So once you have all your surfactants combined, you'll notice it's very thick and chunky. This is normal. We're going to heat both phases up, but before we do that, go back to phase A and weigh that and take note of how much it weighs, because some of the water is going to evaporate when we heat this up and we'll have to replace that. So I created a water bath, which is a pan filled with some water. And if you notice, I switched mine out for a deeper pan because I wanted the water to be high enough to cover most of like the product that's in the beaker. I hope that makes sense, because I was trying to get it more evenly heated because the surfactants weren't getting heated very well. So eventually I took a shallow pan again and then put a glass bowl in it to make another water bath. Just make sure the bowl is heat safe and put some water in the pan. And I poured phase B in the glass bowl. This way everything could get heated more evenly. And this worked much better. So I do recommend using a mixing bowl to combine phase B. And it will be like really thick like this at first, but once it gets hot enough, it should be, I don't know, just like a really liquid creamy consistency, and it might be like a little bit of chunks in it, but they shouldn't be hard chunks. Hopefully the video does a good enough job explaining what it should look like at this phase. But eventually, once it looks like this, that's when you know you can remove phase A. Just make sure phase A is like roughly around the same temperature. It doesn't need to be exact. And remember, some water probably evaporated, so weigh that again and replace any water that evaporated. And once you're done with that, you can pour phase B into phase A. And you'll notice that these two do not want to mix together. I was hand mixing for quite some time until I got the bright idea to use my magnetic stir. So I've talked about this a lot on my channel, but essentially they're just like little magnetic beans that you put in your beaker, and then you place it on your magnetic stir and turn it on, and it starts mixing the bean and it combines everything in your beaker so you don't have to hand mix it. I really love this, and this also doubles as a hot plate, so it gets hot so it can warm up things too. I will have this linked down below along with all the other equipment I used in my video. But this did the trick to combine everything together, so do what you need to do to mix everything together, but don't use an immersion blender. That will create way too much bubbles and lather. So to get one last good mix, I decided to pour everything back in the bowl just so I can mix everything this way, just make sure everything's well combined, you know? I was worried it wasn't getting well combined in that tall beaker. So I just did that and then poured everything back in the beaker, and then I covered it with some plastic wrap. I didn't cover it tight. I just wanted something on it while it cooled down before I added in phase C. So after it returns to around 40 degrees Celsius, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, you can add in the phase C ingredients. I added in 5 grams of liquid Germall Plus. This is the only preservative I can really recommend, because if you use a different preservative, I can't guarantee that this body wash will still be clear. So you'll have to do some experiments if you want to use a different preservative. But I let this sit overnight, and here we are the next day. You can see it's completely clear. There is still some like bubbles and like microfoam on the top, but that's normal. I specifically left out the fragrance oil from earlier because I wanted to make sure this body wash actually came out clear, and I recommend you doing that as well. So for the fragrance oil, I'm using coconut and eucalyptus fragrance oil from Morogue, Canada. I used 10 grams of it, which ends up being 1%. If you've ever used fragrance oils in clear body washes, you'll know that you can have unexpected surprises all the time. It can thicken the body wash, thin out the body wash. It can make it random colors. So you have to experiment with different fragrance oils to see which ones won't interact with your formula at all. And there's really no way to predict this other than doing your own experiments. So take small amounts of this body wash that you made, add in 1% fragrance into each of them, mix it in, let it sit overnight, and see how it looks the next day. That's what I had to do, and that is why I decided to use this specific fragrance oil. I think it worked the best, and all of the other fragrance oils from Morogue, Canada did really well for me as well. So back to the body wash we're making. After I added in the fragrance oil, I'm covering it with some plastic wrap again to let it sit overnight. So here, finally, we have the perfect clear body wash, no bubbles in it, but if you keep mixing it, it will get bubbles again, so don't do that. But just look at that gorgeous consistency. I didn't have to add any salt to thicken it. If you do happen to end up with a really thin body wash, you can add some salt. Just use ordinary table salt. Just sprinkle a little bit in at a time. If you add too much, it can actually thin out your product. How fun. I know, formulating is so weird sometimes. Here I am just checking the pH. Again, pH is a really big topic. There's so much I could cover, so go watch my video all about pH if you want to learn more about it. But I did take the pH of this product, and it's around 5.8, and I think that is totally fine. Our skin's natural pH is between 4.5 and 5.5, so not far from our skin's natural pH level. So I think this is perfect. You can leave it here. If you want, you can make a solution of citric acid. I explain how you can make that in my video all about pH. And you can add a few drops in this body wash to get the pH down if you want. If you use the exact same ingredients as I do, you shouldn't have to adjust the pH because they're all surfactants with lower pH levels. But if you use different surfactants, you might have to adjust the pH. There's a lot of surfactants with high pHs, so keep that in mind. And a high pH can irritate the skin. So here's the finished product, obviously. This gorgeous, clear body gel. It looks exactly like Native's body wash. I am so proud of how well I did. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Let me know if you're going to be recreating this and how it goes when you attempt it. But I said I was going to cover a bunch of information at the end of the video, but I ended up talking about all that throughout the video, so I don't need to do that. Thanks for watching. Also, don't forget to go over and check out my Patreon, where I post 2 exclusive videos every single month. So there are a ton of videos you can go over there and binge watch for only $5 a month. And for $10 a month, you can get a small business shout out, or maybe you have a YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and shout everybody out. Nature's Farm Girl, thank you so much. Let's Blend, thank you. HempyGirl.com, ShopLevies.com or ShopLevi's.com. Seventh House and Oak on Etsy, at Black Petal Beauty on Instagram, Owl and Lily on Etsy, ZayelaMoore.com, I hope I said that right, EmbraceBeautyEssentials.com, LegendaryBathandBody.com, at Stardust Bath and Body on Instagram, AstariApothecary.com, Reviga Cosmetics here on YouTube, and naturesmagicllc.com. Go sign up if you want a shout out or if you just want bonus content. The shout out tier might be full. It's full pretty often because I only have so much space in the description box to link to everybody.